We can learn so much from this today. We can learn what to be vigilant for, so make no mistake, Destiny is involved, but this is not just for the Destiny players. Fans have cried out for transmogrification since 2013, and Bungie have delivered it. In the most modern, live-servicey way they could. An overly restrictive, nonsensical system that serves only to, teach us that when companies do things with this amount of needless complexity, that it's not for you, that it's for them. There are a lot of problems with Destiny 2's new transmogrification system, but the biggest one is that it's both limiting and oddly complicated, and clearly a big old money squeeze. Bungie recently detailed the new system, and their attempt to explain things raised more questions than it answered. Not comedic. The fact that Bungie had to release an explainer of all of this probably wasn't the best sign. I mean, hey, make this hat look like a different hat. That's a request that countless other games have handled without needing a big audience explainer. And also most of them do it completely for free with no monetization. Destiny Transmog is officially called Armor Synthesis, and it's handled by Ada 1 in the tower. Players can unlock the appearance of items they've already earned and convert them to universal ornaments that can be equipped to armor pieces. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? But the complicated part is actually getting that far, and it really is complicated. Get ready. At least it's funny. Transmog in Destiny involves 3 separate in-game currencies. Players will need to kill enemies to passively earn synth strands, which can be spent on Ada 1 specific bounties to earn synth cord. This synth cord, once earned, is then exchanged for synth weave, and that is used to unlock the new transmog options. Armor pieces are unlocked once at a time, meaning that all that work was required to unlock the appearance for a single piece of armor. So it's kind of slow. I wonder, is it in fact a slow thing such that players may have an incentive to spend the paid in-game currency to get their transmog faster? Well, listen on. Now, it is actually possible to spend your hard-earned synth strands on the wrong bounty. And if you do, Bungie have warned you that only some of the currency will be refunded if you abandon that bounty. That, of course, will lengthen the process further. It's an aggressively grindy system. But guess what? That's not the worst bit. There's actually a cap on the amount that players can transmog with this system for each season of Destiny. Players can only earn 10 synth weave each season per class, though the limit is being so graciously doubled for the system's first season, which is due to start May 11th and run until the end of August. Now, this synth weave cap appears to be the biggest complaint amongst the Destiny 2 community. And it makes sense. Attaching both the currency cap and a strict time gate to transmog basically betrays the, freedom and customization and tweaking and fun that the system is meant to enable. As does the fact that not all items are eligible for transmog, where exotic armor can't be altered because Bungie wants players to be able to instantly recognize each other's loadouts, while also several Year 1 items won't be available at launch due to technical constraints. I mean, it does make you wonder if this is a PvP readability issue. Why not just disable transmog for those particular things when in the PvP mode, and otherwise just let people do what they want? A bit weird. Maybe it's those elusive technical constraints that seem to pop up everywhere for Bungie. Now, their official blog goes into more detail on these items, but it's really too complex to clarify anything. It's not a great explanation, and the point is the whole thing's stupidly complex. But of course, there is in fact good news here. No, great news. Player freedom, true choice, because there is a way for you to get around these limits. Open up your wallet, gamer, and spend some real money, because Synthweave can be purchased directly from Destiny's Eververse store. One of them costs 300 silver, and a bundle of 5 costs 1,000 silver, which is $10. It costs $10 to transmogrify your 5 bits of armor. What? Destiny armor sets can be pricey already, but wanting to transmog outside of the limits via the paid currency, that's even more expensive. My god. The Eververse option basically exists as a way to circumvent their limits, while of course squeezing a few pennies, oh, actually a few pounds, out of Destiny's most dedicated players. And that's a weird thing, you know. The average player maybe is not going to want to transmog a few dozen items. But the tryhards, the diehards, the fashion people, I mean, World of Warcraft fashion's pretty big. It's got transmog, of course. Destiny fashion's pretty big. We all know what Warframe fashion is like. People have been asking for this system for 8 years. Surely they will want to do more than their seasonally allotted 10 transmogrifications. And Bungie know it. And in this case, I'm just going to say, they know it, the greedy bastards. Loot-driven games like Destiny, in many ways, are about the visuals. You know? Yes, they're about the gameplay benefit of the loot, but they're about the visuals, the progressing your character, the looking cool. They obviously recognize that people want this system, and I think they know that that means that people will be happy to pay for it. This is just a very strangely implemented system, almost like Bungie stacked too many elements on top of each other. And really, of course, is that time gate that seems like the sticking point. Plenty of games that reward players for completing missions offer direct purchase as a way to bypass the grind, and it feels like Destiny transmogrification system could function perfectly well with just those two elements, you know? The time gate just makes the thing so much more restrictive, and it does effectively push people towards the Eververse shop. Of course it does, because this is sheer greed from Bungie. I don't have a problem with a game developer making money. They should. They should be rewarded for their hard work. But not through scumbaggery bullshit like this. Get out of here, Bungie. You know, it's the kind of thing they probably could have gotten away with making the damn transmog feature paid only. Yes, there would have been a backlash, but it would have at least been a bit more straight and honest. You know what? Yeah, sure, it's great you can get some free transmogs, but this whole damn thing feels so manipulative. There is still time for Bungie to change the way that this system works ahead of the release next month. And yeah, the team have responded to the fan outcries in the past. It happened most recently with the sunsetting of weapons. I mean, that's an interesting one. I can actually see the game design reasons why you would want to sunset some of your roster. But in a way, it's almost as if, you know, you get a game that is all about the promise of loot, and then you kind of mess with that loot after people have earned it. Yeah, they might be a bit salty. And then, of course, remember that whole business about making shaders single-use consumables in another clear cash grab? It's almost as if Bungie purposefully set out to implement this system in the worst possible way, and it's things like this that are just goddamn depressing because we all gave Bungie so much goodwill and benefit of the doubt. We basically were like, oh wow, that was all Activision's fault. Now Bungie they've struck free, and Bungie used their own freedom and the player sentiment towards Activision in their public communications, and I really do feel like they're basically abusing that now. Transmog appears to be a new drawcard in gaming's ongoing quest for our wallets, and it is more than a little depressing. Transmog has got no significant gameplay impact. Its appeal is based in allowing players to curate a nice experience for themselves. But this recent trend towards charging for it just feels sinister. It's too much. This is too much. I'm happy to pay for something, such as new content, new experiences to have. But things like this, no. Piss off. Of course, Valhalla got in trouble for this recently as well. And while Transmog was there, freely accessible from the main menu at any time in Odyssey, well, Ubisoft tied Valhalla's to a single NPC and put an in-game cost to it. And with the way Valhalla's economy works, players would be a little bit nudged towards that real money store before long. Of course, in other games like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Elder Scrolls Online, to name a few, they've got perfectly fine transmogrification systems that don't bend their players over and screw them. So this slide into scumbaggery from game companies is upsetting, it is worrying, it needs to actually be stood against by players, and I would also say by fellow game developers who actually respect their audiences. Enough of this bullshit of just, we're game developers, they're game developers, we're just going to be really nice purely because we do the same thing. No, if somebody's doing something that's actually a scumbag move, you've got to be willing to call it out, right? I mean, Oh, all this time savers, charging for quality of life. You know, quality of life that's almost always just charging for a solution to a problem that a developer cynically creates so they can charge you for the solution they just made, by the way. Actually, get out of here. Bullshit complexity, you see when you see it, it's almost never to serve you and your experience. It is there to serve the wallet, the bank account of the company. And in a situation like this, it's clearly harmful bullshit. That's it for me. If you would like to, I suppose if you like to transmogrificate this X, which I'll now hold the right way up, this pin, onto your in real life character, also known as you, hey, you can check out the Patreon, where you can fund more spicy takes like today's video, and get some cool loot in return. That's it for me. Another slice of gaming doom. How happy. Have a great day. Play some great video games that don't try to nickel and dime you and screw you over. And with that, I'll see you next time.